Just joking, guys. You've waited long enough. People have been waiting for this show to start, and we will start. Welcome to Jets Chaos. Sorry for the delay. My bad. I was on a different channel and couldn't get off of it. We're going to be doing a lot. I'm going to be doing a lot of shows tonight. But let's get going with this show. Can Zach Wilson put up 30? Can the Jets turn this around and go 2-2, make us forget about the nightmare from last week? We're going to find out. It's only moments away. We're going to know. We're going to find out. We're going to know all the realities because we're only, 3 days, 4 days? All our questions will be answered, but we might not have to wait because we have expertise here. And we might find out on our own. So, that being said, let's bring in that expertise. We're going to start with my co-host. He's not happy because he doesn't like to lose. So he might not be in the best of moods. It's not a great rhyme, but it's, what do you want from him? Ladies and gentlemen, he's the hot dog eating, Mets fan rooting, New York Rangers rooting, video making, wicker chair sitting, North Carolina pizza eating, coming to North New Jersey surprising, hanging out with Nick Shine in his apartment, loving Iowa Jets fan and drinking his orange wine. He's the greatest co-host in the world. He is the best in the world. Watch the K99.
If you're just waking up, don't hit the snooze because win or lose, we still booze. Jeremy, it's nice of you that you can make time for your own show. I know you're in very high demand nowadays, so it's nice of you to remember yourself. And it's good to see you, buddy. And let's turn the page from week 3 and let's start a new chapter. Heading now to Heinz / whatever they're calling the field now. It's time to get back to 500 and get the path righted. Let's go.
Faux show. And let me tell you why I said it like that. Because our special guest tonight, he's been building up his channel for past bunch of months now. You may have seen him in and out of the chats, hanging out here, hanging out over there. What you don't know is chill and he's cool. He listens to the jazz. He eats his barbecue. He's from a town that knows about music. Well, maybe not as their neighboring town, but close enough. He moved to Southern California. That's right, because the man knows good weather. But just because he moved to a warmer climate didn't change the fact that he's cool and he's smooth. He's the new bearded wearing super fan in the chats guy, YouTubing, jazz loving, barbecue eating, greatest newcomer in the world. Show.
Well, we're out of time after the intros. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight.
Oh man, I love it, man. I love it. Great intro, man, as always.
I just love, the only thing is I wish everybody had a little, I love doing my brother because I get to say bagel eating. So, so I wish I had more guests, Jewish guests from New York. So I could just I just want to do it every time. He's a bagel eating. It's the funniest line.
Wait. I'm not Jewish, so I can't eat bagels. Is that what you're saying?
No, but It's just more fun. It's more fun to do it with my own people,
Oh, I see.
But no, seriously, it's my favorite line in Do the Right Thing. How they do these little clips of people and when they were doing it for Mayor Koch, that bagel eating. Bald, how am I doing? That's where I steal that intro from.
Oh, man,
I steal it from Do the Right Thing.
I haven't seen that movie in so long, man.
Man, it's been years, right?
No doubt. No
People
doubt.
don't know that that's where it comes from. When I'm like hot dog eating, blah, 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 it's all from
Right.
Do the Right Thing.
Does your brother love the intro?
Oh, my brother loves it. He loves it. Everybody loves the intro so far. I mean, with Nick Shine, I'll put insults in there. I'll say they're not very bright, test failing, too much alcohol drinking, like I'll just insult the hell out of him and he still comes in happy. And if I don't give him an intro, he'll complain about it. So
Nice.
All right. So here we are, Jets fans. We're going to move forward from last week. That's right. I do insult Tico too all the time. We're going to move on from next week. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Sunday. I think we're ready to talk about Pittsburgh and talk about what we have to do to win that game. I think a lot of people are saying, do I think it's a must win? I don't like to use the word must because, when we're back in an AFC championship game, that's going to be much more of a must win than this game against Pittsburgh. But I will say it's a very, very big game to me. And I think all Jet fans, because I think going and opening the season 2-2, regardless of how it's went, regardless of some of our concerns, to be 2-2 would be a big statement for the direction of this team and give us a lot of hope that we haven't had in a really long time. So let me go to our guest, the show, and see, how do you feel about that? What are you feeling about this week's game?
I agree with you 100%. I don't feel like it's a must win, but I think it's a very important win for us, especially with the news about Zach returning. I think we have a great shot at winning. My concerns are really not on the offense, being honest. My concerns, man, are defense, like that front four and just the scheme. Like my question mark is there more than any place. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Sauce. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Reed. Joyner, I could do without, being honest. We've seen Whitehead footage, so I'm very okay with him growing and adapting and adjusting to those horrible mistakes, as far as like not wrapping up, going for the big hits. And I know he'll adjust. I think he's a very good player. He just making bonehead decisions right now. But I actually feel like we're in a good spot to actually win the game. So I'm actually feeling like we can win this one. Being 500 going into week 5 will be a beautiful thing for us.
Yep. How about you, Adam?
I really hope the biggest thing for me is that can Mike LaFleur come up with some sort of strategy to get the ball out of Zach Wilson's hands quickly. What this offense has to do is, if this sort of a thing is possible, place as little importance on the offensive line as possible, particularly when it comes to pass blocking. Because I dread the idea of Zach trying to hold the ball for 4 to 5 to 6 seconds, waiting for a play to develop, and him absolutely getting plastered by Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a player on their defense who has more sacks by himself than the entire Jets defense does all season. I don't know what else I need to say besides that. I mean, Alex Highsmith, we thought we'd be okay without TJ Watt. No, you got to deal with some more beef on that defensive front. So this is the game to me. This surprised me. The Jets have not rushed for 100 yards as a team yet this year in their first 3 games. That needs to change this week. And one of the big reasons why is because so often we're down so early and we're very quick to abandon the run game. That cannot happen again. We have to run against the Steelers' defense. Minka Fitzpatrick did practice today. He was in concussion protocol. He did practice. I am expecting him to play. But I'll tell you what, this has to be where the Jets offense gets back to what its roots are supposed to be. I want to see a lot of running, and then let Zach work off of that run game, and then you can get some quick strikes to Garrett, to Elijah, to Corey, maybe even getting a tight end involved when it's not garbage time. What a concept that would be. So minimize the pass blocking importance, and this is going to go a long way to helping the Jets score a lot of points.
Okay, now it's interesting you say that we're getting behind. We have to establish the run game, and I agree, because it's not that the run game has been bad. Michael Carter has looked great. Breece Hall, I think, has looked a little better as a swing out receiver, but he's just played his first 3 games, and it's not like he hasn't had any runs that show the flashes of a future star. So to me, it comes down to this defense, right? When you give up a touchdown or even 2 touchdowns in the first 2 opening drives, you obviously put your team in a situation where it's hard to establish a run game because we're so afraid of turning the ball over. Now, I remember teams that, want to pound the ball. They happily accept the fact that they're going to have to punt for a couple of drives. And when their defense allows that by holding the other team, what you do is you start to figure out where's the weaknesses, where are the holes, warm up the running backs, warm up the offensive line, wear down the defensive line, set up play action passes. So sometimes establishing the run game means risking the drive. Like we've seen running teams do it all the time. The Giants, living in New York, I watched it a million times.
Mm-hmm.
Like Parcells' teams, they would run, pound the ball, and sometimes because of it, they'd have to punt. But when you got to that second half, man, you can control the line of scrimmage. You can run at will. We haven't had the opportunity to do that because our defense simply hasn't been able to hold. So, and like you said, Adam, when we're falling behind, how could you possibly run? And it's really, to me, dramatically impacting the entire scheme and what this team was supposed to try to be. Because how are you going to establish, we're supposed to be a running offense that sets up play action passes.
Absolutely.
So, right. So this is what we talk about with complementary football. If our defense can't hold them and keep us in games, then not only are we not able to run, but you're taking away what could be, and now Zach, that he's coming back, his biggest weapon. And his biggest weapon is one-on-ones, play action passes where they can't double team us, where we have an edge, and swing the advantage to us. And I think that's just damaging, just killing us. But speaking of Zach, how excited are you about Zach's return, and what do you expect from him, and what could be different for this offense with him in the game instead of Flacco?
I'm absolutely excited about having Zach, man. Joe is good for what Joe does, man, but he is not a starting quarterback in this NFL anymore. He's a good backup. He did what he was supposed to do in those first 3 games. I wasn't shocked at the outcome that Joe established or Joe showed us. But I'm very excited about having Zach, and I agree with you guys, man. We have to establish the run. There are 6 teams in the NFL, and out of those 6 teams, none of them have scored a rushing touchdown this year, and the Jets are one of the 6. I think Michael Carter is averaging about 5.33 yards per carry, and I think Michael Carter is averaging roughly about 4.8, I believe. And with those 2 numbers from your 1 and 2 running backs, man, or your 1A and your 1B running backs, you have to pound the ball, man. You have to run the ball. And we all know that LaFleur comes from that Shanahan style offense, and that offense is predicated upon the run. And for us not to run the ball is as much as we should be, it's mind blowing. Being honest, it's mind blowing. Joe is averaging about 50 something passes per game. You know what I mean? Like, that's bananas.
Yep.
Yeah, that's bananas, man. So yeah, I think the run game is important, and that will definitely help Zach on his return. Just keeping the defense on their toes, not expecting to pass every down. And other than that, man, I'm very excited to see Zach come back. But yeah, just run the ball more. That would help Zach in his return come Sunday. Very elated to see Zach back, man. I'm honest, very honest about that one.
Very exciting. How about you, Al?
Yes.
Well, I think the offense is going to look more like an offense we'd want to see in the 21st century as opposed to like 1965. Because I respect Joe Flacco as a guy. I respect that he's won a Super Bowl, but I swear I can't remember the last quarterback I saw who had a slower delivery, took longer to read the defense. It felt like I don't know what takes longer, for Flacco to deliver a football or for the Jets defensive line to get near a quarterback. You have to time both of these things with like a calendar before they actually happen. So to me, when you have this many weapons who can create this type of separation, and you have multiple options, you need a quarterback who can read the defense quickly, identify where the ball needs to go, and get it there. And Joe Flacco at this stage in his career was not able to get it there. There were too many inaccurate passes. Too many times he missed Elijah Moore, who was running open. It happened constantly. I mean, you could say that some of it was bad play design, but Flacco is not the quarterback to succeed in this type of an offense. And so to me, if I had a little more confidence in this offensive line's ability to pass block, I would be over the moon excited for this game on Sunday. I'm very happy Zach is going to be back. I wonder how much rust we're going to have. I don't know if you could realistically expect him to come right back into the lineup and throwing BBs all over the field and driving us right down the field. I do expect a few inaccurate passes early on. I just hope that if there aren't one of the 6 or 7 miscommunications, which Robert with, I just hope they don't lead to turnovers, or really damaging plays. So let's see how quickly, maybe we should start with a simpler offense, maybe nothing too crazy, because, you don't necessarily have to hit the home run immediately, but you got to keep the ball moving down the field. You can't keep falling behind. I can't bear by the time next Sunday night rolls around, the Jets have still led for 22 seconds over the course of this whole season, because the only amount we led for in the season were the last 22 seconds against Cleveland. It's time to get a lead when we're going to be in our position to let the run game take over. And maybe this pass rush, if they make a few certain changes, which we can get into, will have the ability to rattle Mitch Trubisky to the point where maybe Kenny Pickett comes into the game. Who knows what might happen?
I'll tell you, I'm just glad that Tigo was wrong about Max Mitchell. Tigo hated Max Mitchell. Tigo wanted
Take him
Max
out,
Mitchell.
Tigo.
Tigo wanted Max Mitchell cut the second we drafted him. He said he was garbage and trash, and now we're getting really good play out of Max Mitchell. So I think that Tigo will be man enough to admit he was wrong. He'll swallow his pride and he'll eventually get on the Mitchell train. Well, maybe not. He wants to fight me for some reason.
He wanted Abraham Lucas or somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, he wanted somebody else. I mean, basically, remember he said I'd rather start McDermott than Max Mitchell.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, he did a video on it. Oh, he was waving banners. He had it on his T-shirt. Start McDermott, cut Mitchell. I remember.
But I skipped this. I was so anxious to get the show going and talk about the game. We didn't talk about you, and let everybody know. Let's talk about, like, you have a channel now. It's the Jet Show. I was watching the other day. Me and Green Bean were checking it out, and it was really good. You had our friend Gunny on it.
Yeah.
Tell us about a guy who grows up in Memphis. Gnawing on ribs, and I don't blame him. Gnawing on the ribs all day long.
Absolutely.
Action.
Right?
Is that what's going on?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
Somehow, you and then you end up moving to Southern California. I moved to Sacramento from the East Coast. I understand that whole thing.
Okay.
So that's all fine and good. But how did the guy from Memphis, right, end up a Jets fan? Yet not just a Jets fan, but a Jets fan that's now creating content on YouTube and building up a Jets content channel. Give us the story.
Well, I've always been like the guy that roots for the underdog. And the makeup in Memphis, Tennessee, when it comes to selecting your teams, you're either Cowboys, Pittsburgh, or 49ers. That's it. Like, everywhere you go on a Sunday, you see everybody in the 49ers, Steelers, or either the Dallas, jerseys. And I'm like, dude, like, I just don't want to follow trends, man. Like, I'm going to watch a little football, then I'll select whoever I want to select. And it was always the underdogs for me, no matter what I was watching. I'm a huge boxing fan as well. So a lot of times I bet and root for the underdogs in the boxing match. So growing up as a kid, I was like, you know what? I really like the Jets, man. Like, I think I'm going to go for the Jets. And believe me when I say this, guys, I got teased, man. Like, I was teased tremendously. And it was actually hard for me to watch the games. I'm 42, so I became a fan roughly in 2000. So we didn't have all the apps and all the different, direct TVs where I could actually watch the game. So I literally had to wait until we played a big team. And more than likely, when we played a big team, we did lose. So it's like, like when I did get a chance to see my guys, we lost almost every last one of the games, man. But I'm a firm guy. I just stuck with them, and I'm still sticking with them right to this day. And it's been painful, but I told you in one of the our private chats, Jeremy, I'm a very patient guy, man. So
Yeah.
patience is a must whenever you're a fan of the Jets. But other than that, other than getting teased, man, I've been a strong Jets fan. My wife actually, we were dating, and she had no idea about football. She's not a football person at all. Well, prior to meeting me, and she was like, you know what? I want to start watching football with you. So I was like, great, So she was living in California at the time. The reason I'm out here now, and when I would come to visit, like we would sit down and watch our footballs, and I was explaining, how the game works, and she knew who my team was, and she popped up with like her little Jets hat and Jets shirt. I was like, oh, this is so cute. Like she has a Jets shirt. I have one. Man, halfway through the first season, she was like, so why can't the Jets move the ball like the Patriots do? And I was like, are you serious right now? Yeah. So it was a bit painful, man. And right now, she's actually not a Jets fan. She converted to becoming a fan of the Seahawks. And she did it when Jamal Adams left and went to the Seahawks. It was like
how's that working for her?
Yeah, not good at all. Oh, my entire household, we tease her daily about it.
Good.
Yeah.
It's
all in good fun though, man.
One thing you did mention that I found interesting, so it's about the Tennessee dynamic. So you mentioned like 49ers, Cowboys. So is there like a rivalry with Memphis and Nashville where, it's kind of taboo to be a Tennessee Titans fan because they play in Nashville as opposed to Memphis? How does that work?
Well, so of course, that the Titans were originally the Oilers in Houston. So prior to them coming to Tennessee, the only option was just, out of state team. And originally the Titans were in Memphis. But my theory is Memphis is more of a basketball city. So right. the fans really didn't support them a lot, maybe because of the Pittsburgh, the 49ers, those guys. So the city really didn't support the Titans once they moved to Memphis, Tennessee. So, they eventually moved the team, of course, after that to Nashville. And now, of course, with time, people said, you know what, I'm going to support the home team. And they left from the Pittsburgh or from Dallas or whoever the team, was at that moment. But now it's Tennessee really does have a large fan base in Tennessee. Like over half of my friends are literally Titans fans, except for me.
Except for me.
There's one in every crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jeremy, on a side note, Mets win, Braves lose. It's a good night.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's a big relief. I saw that they were tied, and it was really aggravating.
Eduardo Escobar, 3 straight hits, home run, and a single to win the game, and the Nationals beat the Braves. So Mets are 1 game up on the Braves heading into this showdown in Atlanta or wherever the series winds up being. Just a quick note. So
we got some big sports things happening. We got the Mets playing Atlanta, fighting for the division, and we got the Jets fighting to be 2-2. When's the last time the Jets, if they win, could say they're at 500 going into the 5th week of the season? 2015?
I think it's 17. I think they were 3-2 at that point. I'll check this really quick.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
I'm pretty sure it's 17 because I had to look this up once.
2K is the greatest stats guy alive, man. I'm telling you, he's great at his job, man.
Yeah.
I am a poor man's Michael Nania once in a while.
Oh, man. Hey, Jeremy, man, it's good to see your channel, man, at the size that it's at, because I've been following you for a while, man. I was literally in your chat when you first hit your 1,000 subs, man.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, this is so cool, dude. I was so proud for you at that time, man. So proud.
Thanks. And it was I appreciate everybody who was part of that and making it happen, by being there.
Yes.
And it was I can't say it was a long haul in the sense like in time of the world. Mm-hmm. There are some people who hit it in 3 months. There are some people it takes 2 years, right? So I did it in about 7-8 months. So I can't sit there and say, oh, it was forever and everything. But man, I got to tell you, the ups and downs, and maybe you're feeling it, the ups and downs in starting a channel are unbelievable, because you'll have a video do well and you're excited and you're feeling so good. And then you do a video that gets 50, for me, it's like at this point, if I could do a video, I have one right now. I did 2, and one of them is at like 50, 60 views, and it's the most deflating thing.
Oh my God. Yes.
But but you know what? I'll do a few next week, and one of them will just go to, and like we'll break 1,000 or 1,500, and then it's like I'm flying again, So it's a roller coaster ride, and at some point, and I think I finally got there, you got to stop caring so much. And you got to just focus on putting the best content out and having a good time and letting everything else just run its course.
I think the best one, as far as views that I did, it took me hours because I did a lot of editing on it. And my wife, she came, it was like 3 a.m. She came in my room here and she just looked at me with those come to bed eyes. I was like, babe, 1 more hour, I promise. That 1 hour led to like maybe 3 more. So she was a bit pissed.
Yeah.
Man,
I'll never forget. I told my wife, I said, "Yeah, I'll be out and we'll chill and we'll hang out. And we'll go to some breweries and hang out." It was a Saturday and it was like 11 a.m. I said, "Yeah, today we're gonna go and hit breweries and everything like that." And I decided to make it. It's the Wednesday night show promo that I play, with all the clips. So I download off of YouTube because it's my channel, so you can download them. I downloaded like 4 shows, Wednesday shows, one with Adam, one with CJ, one with my first one with Green Bean, and I start slicing through each one to look for great little moments, little clips. So I'm pulling out little clips to make that 1 minute promo, and it felt like 45 minutes later, right? And I'm like feeling like I'm getting there, I'm getting somewhere. My wife comes in and she looks steamed. She goes, "Look, I waited, and it's already 3 o'clock, and you like to go when the breweries don't get crowded, and then you're going to tell me that the breweries are too crowded and you don't want to deal with the crowds." She goes, "These are the hours that they're slow." And I said, "What are you talking about? It's not even noon." And I look, and it's like 2:50 p.m. And I'm like, "Holy cow!" And, I took a break, and then I finished it that night, and that's
I have met Mrs. Jeremy. Believe me, show you don't want to see her angry.
And and that's why I'm rolling with the same promo. People say, you're gonna update that promo. I'm like, people, do you understand how much work this is? It's like so much work.
He's still got a clip of me talking about Kyle Hamilton, for the love of God. Come on.
Oh man.
So much
being honest, 2K, I was a big Kyle Hamilton guy. Oh, did we lose 2K?
Oh, maybe, yeah. So you were a big Kyle Hamilton guy. Green Bean was.
Yeah, I was huge. I was huge on Kyle Hamilton, man. Especially like maybe 2 months before the draft. I was like, man, this guy's good, and I still like him right to this day. But being honest, I think the way our draft laid out, we couldn't have did a better job, man. We could not have. This is by far my favorite draft class, man. Like from the first to the last selection, like all of these guys are showing up. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, well, who needs Kyle Hamilton, right?
yeah. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I was back and forth, and I would have, and I was saying it, like if they take Kyle Hamilton, I'll live with it. I mean, it's a need, and obviously it means they think he's going to be a unicorn. Like they would have taken him if they would have believed he's going to be like the next Ed Reed, they would have taken him.
Right.
But
absolutely.
and that's what I would have thought. Like if they took him, I said, okay, obviously they think this guy's going to be the next Ed Reed. I would never ever change the fact that we got Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson and still got one of the top 5 guys like in JJ and Edge. And I know people are freaking out saying he doesn't have any, he only has half a sack. First of all, it's only 3 games.
Right.
He's a rookie edge.
Yes.
It's very, very common for an edge to develop before they're getting tons of sacks. And he's already a valuable part of the defense in his ability to contain the edge.
Yes. And that's what I love when I watched the tape on JJ from Florida State. I was like, this dude, far as setting the edge and containing those outside runs, hands down, I think he was the best defensive end that could contain the edge. Now, as far as getting the pass rush, I would have to give that to Aiden Hutchinson. But when it comes to setting the edge and stopping the runs, those outside runs, man, JJ was a beast. I was like, we have to get this guy, man. We have to. Because one of our biggest problems last season, of course, was stopping the runs. And I'm like, we need a run-stopping edge, a guy that can set the edge for us, man. And yeah, JJ was a magnificent pick. I lost it when we traded up to get him, guys. I did, man.
Yeah, it was. Well, you've seen probably my draft promo.
I have.
From my reaction.
They don't want an edge rusher.
They don't want it. They got JJ. You got to give me credit for putting it out there. It was such the whiny Jeremy Jew. Oh my God. Oh my God. They don't want an edge. What are we going to do? We don't want an edge.
This is how he sounds when that's how he also sounds when he runs out of snacks in the house.
Honey, you said that there were Cheez-Its in the closet.
Wafers. Oh, no more hot sauce.
Now I have to get in the car and go to Safeway.
Oh my God, man. Oh man.
Yeah. Actually, the Jets were 3-2 in 2017, and they wound up winning two more games the rest of the season. So that was the last time.
Typical Jets, right?
Actually, it was atypical because we're not used to being over 500 in October.
That's true. That's true.
They disappointed us just after Columbus Day, which was nice of them that year.
Guys, do you think we would have won the game against the Ravens if we had Zach?
Or
do you think it would have been a better?
I don't know about the Ravens game because the way the weather was and the way that kind of game flowed. You obviously you don't want to touch the Cincinnati game because you won the game, but I don't think we would have been down by 13 points to begin with. And then I definitely think the Bengals game would have been very, very different for sure. The way, there's no way. People say, what about last year? But I think based on that way that game went, I think that Zach Wilson would have done a better job than Flacco just because his inability to be mobile was such a blatant issue with the way game 3 went against the Bengals. It all depends on who Zach's going to come in and be. I happen to be a big Zach guy, and I believe he's going to come in and he's going to be very good. And I think he's going to take his step. I think he was getting better last season as the season went. I think he's a very special talent. It might take a couple of games for him to get back into it, obviously, because, the knee and the lost practices and everything. But I think overall, I think he's going to work out. I think that this season's going to be much better than last. I think last year he had flashes, so I'm happy about that and growth. And I think this year we're going to see even more growth, and we're going to see some games where we get really excited, much higher level games. So I'm really, it's hard to say what he would have done these first 3 weeks, but I do believe we're a much better team with Zach, or we're going to be a much better team with Zach. I just don't know when it's going to happen. Officially, when he's going to really break out and have that big 350-yard, 3 to 4 touchdown game, but it's coming. And at some point, I still believe in my heart, at some point, we're going to have a lot of happy Jet fans about one specific thing, and that's we really do have our quarterback.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard for me. It was always hard for me to imagine us beating Baltimore just because I feel like they're so well coached and they don't beat themselves. I felt Cincinnati was a game we should have been much more competitive in. And it was one of those games pretty much 2 drives in. It was just this is not looking like it's going to be our game. And one thing with the Jets, they're a team where I think under the Saleh era, it's they don't tend to turn it around, positive or negative. It's how they start is pretty much how they're going to play pretty much the entire game. I'm not quite sure that's the most inspiring idea for a coach, because it's okay, they're coming out after halftime, they're sort of in the game, but they better get off to a good start. Well, their first drive, they basically run 2 plays and Flacco gets strip sacked down deep, and then comes the Jamar Chase touchdown where he's standing all alone like a house on the side of the road, to go back to the old spike game call against the Dolphins. So yeah, for me, I felt that Flacco's lack of mobility, and I think I thought he had some very poor decision making, and I think it did a lot to really hurt the Jets offense in that particular game. So, yeah, but I'm definitely happy that he's going to be back for this Pittsburgh game. And you know what? I don't. One thing that I'm a little bit tired of hearing about is, oh, this isn't the right spot for him to come back. Oh, I don't know if this is the right matchup. When is the right scenario? Sometimes if you're trying to learn to swim, you just got to jump in the pool and start moving your arms and kicking your legs. Because if you can't, I hate to use the word babying because we use it very often, but you have to figure out what this quarterback can do against top competition. We need to know by the end of this season if this is a quarterback that we can go forward with, that we trust to lead us to sustainable success for the next 5 to 10 or more years. I want to have a feel for it this year, whether it's a yes or a no. The worst thing it could be is to be completely inconclusive. So let's see what happens over the course of the season. Let's not get too crazy over any one single game or especially one single play, because that happened in the preseason with that pick. We know that happened. Okay, let's watch the journey. Let's see how the offense evolves. And then down the road in a couple of months, we'll know where this is, and then we'll know what needs to change, whether it is changing the coaching staff, whether it is changing the offensive line. I hope safety is our biggest issue, because if safety used to be our biggest strength 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, that was the only thing we could point to as our strength. It's like, well, if you're going to be weak in a position, I guess safety isn't the worst one, because that could be fixed. But if we have to start over on the coaching staff, the quarterback, get a new left tackle, that scares me a lot more. So we've got to find out what Zach is, and it starts this Sunday in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there's no question we have to find out what Zach is. For me, it's more of a, man, I can't wait until he shuts everybody up and he just owns this league. I'm just waiting for it to happen. And if I'm wrong, I'll die on that ship. But it's just, I'm just waiting for that to happen because I believe so deeply it's going to happen. So June, the GM, comes in and says, Zach has talent. He scares me. I'm always concerned with his health. I don't blame you for that. Can he survive the rest of the year with this duct tape line?
Scotch tape line.
Yeah. Look. There's two scenarios.
Elmer's glue.
Yeah. Understand, there's plenty of examples of young quarterbacks who have some injury issues that are continuous, right? For the first few years. Phil Simms is a great example. Believe it or not, I'm that old. I remember that era. In the beginning of Phil Simms' career, he was banged up. He was an injury-prone guy. Like, people were really worried if he was going to ever work out for the Giants. If Zach Wilson gets hurt a third time, we need to start having, especially if it's that knee, then we really got problems. But we can start going that path of, oh my God, is this going to be a career where this is going to be a continuing issue? But I just want to remind people that if it's not uncommon. Players, he's only 20. What is he? 22? Just turned 23, maybe.
I think he just turned 23 recently. I think he's
right.
Yeah,
So
I think 23. Yeah.
He's super, super young. There's a chance. I'm nervous too. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not concerned, but there's a really solid chance that he'll put this behind him and he'll go on to have a fine regular quarterback career, like everybody else. We're not at the place where we have to think he's definitely injury prone and we're always going to have to deal with this. I'm not there right now, but I do think that they have to figure out, and maybe they are, and we don't know, but I mean, is something up with that knee? Like, is there something that has to happen at some point to protect that knee? Does he have to wear a special kind of brace? Or is it something that truly is going to heal 100% and it's just like anybody else? Like, I don't know. But so I understand the concern. And I understand about the concern about the offensive line. It's very concerning right now. But remember, there are plenty of teams in the NFL that have a weak spot in their offensive line. Not everybody has 5 solid guys. So the way Max Mitchell has played, in spite of Tigo's bad negative vibes, we really have one bad spot right now on our offensive line. Unfortunately, it's left tackle, though. So I think that Zach is going to have to roll right. and we're going to have a lot of a successful running game. And for all of that to, but for that running game to happen, I'm telling you, the defense has to hold up and keep the game close.
Yep, no doubt about it. Keeping it close. We've seen how quick Mike LaFleur will be to get away from the run game. I'm not a LaFleur critic. The way that there are, some people are very critical of him. I feel like he got better and better last year. I'm not quite sure what he's been doing so far this season. I don't know. Maybe you need to give him 8 games every season before he figures out what kind of personnel he has, and then he can adjust to it. Maybe that's what it comes down to. But yeah, the biggest knock I have on him, I feel like he gets away from the run too much, and especially when you're getting away from the run because you're going to Joe Flacco. It just didn't make any sense whatsoever. Oh, V-Man, thanks for the super chat. We appreciate it very much.
Yeah, let's read it out. Steelers are notorious for playing down to their competition. Not to mention they are 0-6 when TJ Watt is hurt. I did notice that when Watt isn't on their team in the last couple, they lose. Steelers won't respect the Jets. I can't read Steelers won't respect the Jets, and now New York will make them pay. Send you a video as proof.
What's on the video exactly?
Proof. Okay. Look, here's my thing. Okay, and we haven't really dug into this. And thank you so much for the super chat, V-Man. I appreciate it, buddy. So I just want to say, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think, especially with Watt not there, I don't think it's a talent issue. I don't have doubts about this game on talent, in the sense that we have the talent to win this game. I have no question in my mind that we have the talent to win this game. If Zach Wilson really is healthy, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, the tight end room, the Sauce Gardner, Michael Carter II. I mean, we have talent all over this team. Quinnen Williams, we have talent all over the place. DJ Reed, we are not an underdog in the sense of talent. My concern going into this game is the coaching, because Tomlin for the Steelers is one of the greatest coaches of this era. And I know people will shake their head. The Steeler fans even will say, no, he doesn't win enough for the big game. People, you got to be out of your mind. How many coaches come into first of all, have to fill shoes like he's had to fill, right? Because the Steelers have only had 2 coaches before him in the last 50,000 years, right? You had Chuck Nolan, then you went right to Cowler. So he had huge shoes to fill. He steps in there. Nobody knew who he was. Who? He was some assistant from Minnesota. And the guy, how many years has it been? What is it, since 2007, Adam?
Does it feel like Cowher's been like on CBS for like the last 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, but
it's unbelievable.
Since Tomlin took over the team, he's never had a losing season. That is something that even Belichick can't say, right? Belichick can't even say that.
Yep.
I mean,
January 22nd, 2007. He's going on 15 and a half years.
Wow.
Without a losing season.
Man.
Without a losing
That's amazing.
Season.
That's amazing, man.
It doesn't seem that long that he's been there, in a way. I feel like 15 years? It's crazy.
I just think that's our biggest challenge is coaching. That's
how many coaches have we been through since 2007
I know.
to the current date?
Are we counting coordinators show?
And I'm not
enough to fill up his coaching staff. That's how many.
I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to come in with tons of negativity. I am so hopeful that we're going to win this game. I'm just saying that if you said, what's your biggest fear? Obviously, from a player perspective on the field, obviously our left tackle situation, obviously. And then Zach's first game back. There's things, and then, third is just the defense and the way it's been playing. But all of that, or at least the defensive part of that, falls under the coaching. That's my number one. That's my thing that I'm really concerned about. Like, are they going to make adjustments? Are they finally going to do what needs to be done and play, like Herm Edwards said, play to win the game? Let go of your pride. Let go of the scheme. You play to win the game. I want that slogan back. Wear that on your shirt. play to win the game. Meaning, I don't care if it goes against your biggest principles as far as your scheme. If it's not working and we have the talent to win the game by adjusting it, then adjust it. And that's my biggest concern. How about you, Show?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. Just make your adjustments. That's been one of like my biggest pet peeves with this coaching staff. They just don't make adjustments. Like we were saying last season against Buffalo. I mean, you had Guidry guarding Diggs, man. And like play after play after play until they eventually scored, the touchdown. And I'm like, dude, what is this coaching staff doing, man? Like, let's get it together, guys. You know what I mean? Like, this is, at first it was like Uber. Last year, it's like this guy's he's getting us killed. He's getting us killed. And LaFleur stepped up, like we said, the last half of the season. And it was like, okay, coming into this season, I don't think any true Jets fans was concerned about LaFleur. It was like, we have our OC. We're not worried about it. And then we come out with Cager in our lineup. I'm like, dude, what is this? We're not running the ball. Joe Flacco is passing, he's dropping back passing, And at this point, I was a huge Robert Saleh fan. I was very supportive when we hired him. But at this point, I'm on the fence with all the coaches, man. Being honest, I don't know what I'm gonna get from these guys. And the crazy thing about it is, if we lose Sunday, man, I don't know where the fans will be at that point. What if Zach struggles and not look like the Zach that we got accustomed to seeing, in the last 6 games of last season? What if Zach is struggling, throwing multiple interceptions? Like, where does that leave the fans? So I don't know, guys. I don't know about this Pittsburgh game, man. Like we were talking earlier, Jeremy, I don't think it's a must win, but I think it's a very, very important win.
Yeah.
That's my take on it, guys. Yeah.
Let me give you a scenario. I'm going to pull a Buffalo Giants card. I'm going to give you a little scenario situation. Would you rather take the win, but Zach having a pretty awful game? Would you take Zach having a really good game, but the Jets lose in a shootout?
I take the win. Because you can chalk it up to saying Zach was just rusty coming off injury, but the guy still found a way to win the game. That's my opinion. What do you think, Jeremy?
It's an interesting question, but I agree. As a Jets fan, as much as I love Zach, as much as I understand how important it is that Zach succeeds, I could never turn down a win. If you give me an ultimatum of a win and a loss, unless it had to do with injury. Zach has a career-ending injury. Right. No. Right. I'll lose the game and keep Zach healthy.
Right, we'll take the L.
Win the game. Right. There are scenarios. I'm not saying it's impossible, but in that scenario, I'll chalk it up to he was rusty. It was his first game back, but we get the win and we get to improve Zach. Because honestly, when you look at our schedule, the way Miami's playing, and then what comes up for us after, I mean, we really could the season. We could have another season where it gets away from us right away, and we need one. That's why it's such an important win. It's an important win and a crucial win because we need to defend the season and make sure that this season doesn't get away. It can get away late in December. It's okay if we end up 7-8 wins, but it can't get away to the point where by the time November 1st comes or November 7th comes or whatever it is, we're already doing, I'm already back to doing my mock drafts. Like
that's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, we can't have that. We can't have that. And what's up, David Falzone? David Falzone for you. I'm assuming this is David Falzone Jr. I'm assuming. I might be wrong. David Falzone, if it's his dad, if this is Junior, is my best friend that I grew up with since we were little kids. Like we're talking about 5-6 years old. Like grew up with this dude. Our whole entire lives. When I was at the game, week 1, that's where I stayed. I stayed with David Falzone, but I think this is his son because David Falzone Sr. is not much of a social media guy. So I'm guessing it is Junior, and it's so weird because I remember holding this kid as a baby, and now he's on my stream.
Oh wow,
throwing in chats. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan, guys. So, but don't give him any crap for it. He's being very nice and complimentary.
So he's David Falzone Jr. and his avatar is Ken Griffey Jr. I think I see the connection here. I see how it works. Okay.
He didn't put the Junior in his name, so
I see what he's doing.
He didn't put the Junior in, so I'm not 100% sure who which David it is. Okay. But it's family to me. So welcome, Mr. Falzone.
Welcome, Mr. Falzone.
Yeah, there you go. There
Mr.
you go.
Falzone, fellow Paisan.
We all going to Memphis, baby. We're gonna eat some ribs.
We're gonna take over Beale Street, baby.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I can promise you, I can show you guys some great spots, man. God, you know, my wife, she visited for the first time in 2019, and I was, you know, of course, boasting about the barbecue. And she was like, "It's not that good. It's not that good, right?" And guys, I promise you, after I introduced her to the barbecue, she literally wanted every single day. And it was like, I actually have photos. I send you some, Jeremy. Oh my God, dude. Like she was hooked. She was hooked. Yeah.
Oh man, I'll send you my cell number. I want those pictures.
You know, it's funny.
Okay,
My mom leads.
covered, bro.
My mom leads bus tours across the country. Now that she's retired from American Airlines. So she's been doing this for about 10, 15 years. So one of the tours was the music cities of Midwest. They would actually hit Memphis, Nashville, Kansas City, just all these towns. Yeah. But they'd always stop at Rendezvous, which is a very famous ribs place in Memphis. They do them over the charcoal.
Very popular. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's sort of the tourist trap rib place over there. And she'd be bringing back a bottle of barbecue sauce. I'm like, Mom, I thought they were known for, it's kind of like taboo to put the sauce on those ribs. You just got to taste the ribs and the spice. That's kind of what it's all about. But it's like, hey, thanks anyway. Like, it's like I got teased with the barbecue sauce. It's like, thanks anyway, Mom. You got the ribs. I got the sauce. Great deal we got here.
Yeah.
Right.
So Randy, bringing it back to football, is making a point about Parcells. I just needed to say this real fast. Randy, I don't disagree with you at all, but I'm not going to compare that to Saleh or hold that against them because, in my opinion, Bill Parcells is one of the greatest head coaches in the NFL history. He's like,
absolutely,
he's royalty.
Well, he commanded respect.
So I'm not saying that my expectation for Saleh that he could pull a Parcells, because Parcells didn't only just do that for the Jets. Parcells went to Dallas and turned them around. Right. Parcells went to Miami as a GM, brought in one of his guys, and they went from like 1 in 15 to winning the division. So Parcells is a magic guy. I mean, this is one of the very special people. So, I guess we have to just, accept and swallow the fact that, no, we didn't get the next Parcells per se, but at least not now. But it is all true what you're saying. Like, he was amazing and everything. And Saleh, and most coaches, almost all of them, over 90% of them, are never going to be anything near Parcells. So that's not really where I set the bar, although we could dream about it. Yeah. I knew V-Man was going to come in because I saw he was all heated up still about Tomlin. Tomlin, a good coach. The guy got carried the Super Bowl by. I want. Okay, so look, I understand.
All right.
You can't really say cower because that team is all but gone. Football, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say, oh, he took over a great team, because it's not like they were good for 2 years. And then, by the way, thanks for the super chat, V-Man. Now I'm going to shit all over you. So it's, I'm just kidding. You have to remember like that. If he was good for the first couple of years after he left, but come on, it's been freaking 14, 15 years. Now, the other thing is Antigua had Pittsburgh Steelers fans saying the same thing. They're saying this thing about he had a great quarterback, but there were years where he didn't have a great quarterback. Roethlisberger missed a full year, and they still had a winning season. I mean, he's had games just a few years ago where Mason Rudolph was playing for a lot of the season, and he still had a winning record. Last year, everyone wrote them off and said there's no way they're going to hold on to their winning record, and they did. And this could be the year that they don't have a winning record, but it doesn't take away anything from Tomlin. Come on, man, guys, be realistic. Look, you guys in the chat that are like on Tomlin, okay? I didn't say he's one of the. Did I say he's one of the greatest coaches to ever play the game? Maybe. Okay. Maybe
not ever, but in the modern era,
maybe that would be.
You can put him on top 5. I don't
but
think
like what we have to,
that.
yeah, right. And what we have to realize about it is, we as a fan base, as Jets fans, how could you not? I mean, you see how hard it is to not only find a good coach, but one that can sustain themselves, right? So Herm Edwards was a good coach for us. but it didn't sustain, and we ended up letting him go. Rex Ryan was a good coach for us, and it didn't sustain. He couldn't sustain it and ended up losing his job. So, I mean, let's be realistic here. It's an incredible accomplishment to go 15 years and not have a losing record. It just is.
It is
And
15 years. He's never had a losing record. I mean, he's 244.
Mm-hmm.
He's 155 and 87. He is one game under 500 in the playoffs, but he's still made 2 Super Bowls. I mean, where do I sign up to have Robert Saleh last 15 years with the Jets, win a Super Bowl, reach another one, and never have another season under 500 again? Where do I sign for that?
Yeah. So
Sign
I gotta
me up.
say,
Sign me up.
sign me up, V man. If Zach Wilson is a superstar quarterback and turns this team around and we win some Super Bowls, are we going to say in 12 years you discount Saleh and that winning the Super Bowls don't mean anything because he had a great quarterback? It's the same thing they did with Phil Jackson in Chicago. Then he went to the Lakers, took over a team that had Shaq and Kobe that were not winning.
That's right.
Kobe and Shaq were together, and they weren't winning championships. They were not winning. Phil Jackson went there, and boom, they couldn't lose. They were winning championship every year, right? So it's not. Oh, it's the players. He just had great players. If it's 1 year, the guy who filled in for what's his name in Dallas when he left, the guy who
Barry Switzer.
Right. Barry Switzer. You could make an argument wasn't a great coach. He just took over a team and didn't mess with it. Right? He just didn't do anything. You can make that argument about Barry Switzer, but you can't sit here and call these coaches who win multiple championships simply a product of their players. I mean, it's just not fair to do that. It's like having a great player. Yes, you're going to be in the playoffs, especially like in a sport like basketball, like for example, you have LeBron or you have Jordan in his heyday. You're going to be in the playoffs, but if you're actually winning championships, you have to credit the coach too, because guess what? You're having to go through the playoffs. You're having to play great teams and other great players. Like if you're not a good coach, you're not going to get through that. So I don't care if you have Ben Roethlisberger. You're not going to have winning seasons in the NFL. Even if you have a really good quarterback every single year. And then when that quarterback gets hurt, continue to have winning seasons if you're not a good coach. It's just let's be honest. I mean, they had the Texans had Deshaun Watson, and they were would they get 4 wins the last year that he played?
About that. That sounds about right.
Right. And he was an amazing quarterback. So you have to have a good coach too. It's not just having a ton of talent at quarterback is not enough.
And in no sport is the coach more essential than the NFL, because that's where you have the biggest roster and the fewest number of games. Mm-hmm. You have to manage more egos, get more guys on the same page. You have to connect to guys with that many more backgrounds, personalities, learning styles. It is harder to coach in the NFL than it is ever going to be in any other sport for all of those reasons. And a lot of good coaches, they wear out their welcome after a couple of years and they're on to the next place. We can point to a lot of good coaches who kind of came and went, then moved on to place after place. Parcells is a great example of it. He was always looking for the next job, it felt like, especially once he left the Giants. So for Tomlin to be there now his 16th season, so that roster has been turned over a couple of times, and they still win, and they still go to the playoffs. I give him a lot of credit for that. There's no way you can't. The opposite of that is like Marvin Lewis, who stuck around Cincinnati for about the same amount of time and never did a thing there. So,
yeah.
My belief is always about the coaching, man. It's always about the coaching. What was that year that Philadelphia had that loaded roster? What was that cornerback from the Raiders? Asamoah, I believe. It was the year that the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, it was that year that the Philadelphia Eagles signed him. That roster was loaded, man, and they did not make it to the playoffs.
That was like 2011, 12. That's after the Jets were trying to sign him during the whole creation. So that's right around 2012, right after 11 or 12, right after the
And when I saw that signing and the other guys that they added, I was like, there's no way Philly is losing this season. And the coaching was, excuse my language, guys, piss poor, and they did not make it to the playoffs. So, yeah, I agree with you guys, man. It's always about the coaching. Always.
Me and my brother Lee have been saying it our whole lives as a football fan. It's the coaching. It's like it always starts with the coach. It's great to have a great quarterback, but it's the coaching. Now, look, I understand, the Steelers haven't done and went to the big games in the last bunch of years, and maybe they will eventually want to move on. I don't know, but it doesn't change the fact that it's an incredible accomplishment to have a winning record year after year after year. And he's not had Ben for all those years. There were at least 2 seasons where he didn't have Ben, 1 full season and 1 most of the season, and he still had a winning record. So I'm just not buying it. And not only that, Ben wasn't good last year. Ben was horrible last year.
He was done.
He was not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He was not a good quarterback at all. So
he looked like Flacco.
Yeah.
Not that far off.
Yeah, he was not a good. Ben Roethlisberger was not a good quarterback last year, and he wasn't that great the year before that. So yeah, Tomlin can't win a Super Bowl without a great quarterback. Maybe that's a fair statement, but how many coaches can? Not many coaches can win a Super Bowl without a great quarterback. When Zach hits GW for a touchdown, I'm going to fanboy so hard.
Video or it didn't happen.
I do have to order my Garrett Wilson jersey. I love Elijah Moore. I got his jersey, but I got to have a Garrett Wilson also, because Garrett Wilson, and I don't say this enough, I'm not saying like people don't see him coming and we're not talking about him enough, but even with all the Garrett Wilson talk, I still don't think it's enough. I still don't know if everybody really gets it. Like, Garrett Wilson is the guy we've been waiting for. Like, of all the rookies, I mean, Sauce was a given. We knew it, right? But Garrett Wilson, guys, this is the guy. Like, we haven't had this forever. This is the guy. I'm not talking about a free agent that you sign. This is like the Al Toon. This is the throw me the goddamn ball, Keyshawn. I mean, this is a legitimate superstar wide receiver that we drafted. He's going to be amazing. And I don't think I'm jumping the gun here, because it's not just the numbers that he put up, because I've seen wide receivers put up numbers where you could say anybody could have been in that spot running those routes and done it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way he does it. Come on, man. You can see a star when you're watching a star. He's graceful. He's fast. He breaks ankles off the line of scrimmage. The way he starts that route off the line of scrimmage, when he does those moves, this guy is absolutely.
He's going to put Xavier Howard on his ass in 2 weeks.
This might end up being. There's a very good. I don't think I'm speaking too soon. I really believe this. There's a very strong possibility, and I'd probably bet on it, that for this generation of this era, forget about Maynard, that he's going to be the greatest wide receiver the Jets ever had. Ooh. I really feel that way about Garrett Wilson. I really feel that strongly about it. He's in his first few games in the NFL, and he already looks like a seasoned star.
You just hope he stays healthy, because we've had a couple little injury scares with him. But he keeps coming back. So
he's tough.
He has a resilient body, both mentally and physically, and that's something that actually encouraged me. That he was able to come back. And I still think he could be doing even better than he was, because I don't think Flacco always recognized that he was open. I don't think Flacco was able to recognize some of these coverages and to find some of these players when they were open. I think Elijah Moore sometimes, and sometimes it was Wilson. I can't wait for Zach's mobility and his arm strength, and because Zach's accuracy is better when he's throwing a little bit farther down the field. That intermediate, once Flacco was throwing past 20 yards down the field, it was game over. He couldn't hit it. The only time I think he did is when Corey Davis was wide open going down the sideline against Cleveland. That's probably the only one I think that's the only one he connected on in 3 freaking games. So I know Zach can do that. We've seen him do that. So that is what gives me that much more excitement. And it's going to be, when the camera's zoomed in and those receivers are heading down the field, they're out of reach of the TV screen, and you're just wondering where they're going. I'm just going to be just waiting for Zach to wind up and start the motion before the defense is closing in, because that's going to tell me he recognizes something. There's about to be a big play happening. While my ball is up in the air and the TV camera is moving down the field, and you're waiting for that football to settle into the hands of Wilson, of Moore, or whoever it is, you're really thinking this could happen. And whereas before it would be like, boy, I hope there's a jet on the screen somewhere. I hope they didn't fall down or anything like that. So, yeah, the more I do think about it, the more I begin to think this is the beginning of the core of a new Jets offense that can really sustain itself for a long time.
Yeah, I look. I mean, and again, has anybody lost any confidence or feel differently about Brees Hall than they did in preseason now? It's weird because there are people that are saying that, and I don't understand it. Like his average yards per carry is still there, and we have an offensive line that's struggling with injuries, and we're in a bad situation every game as far as just having a backup quarterback and all that. And we are playing some good defenses, like against the run. Like Baltimore has always been a run stopping kind of defense. It's the strength of Cincinnati, like the middle of and Cleveland. My God, they're stacked with talent on defense. So for a rookie to be doing so far what Brees Hall has done, do you think this is disappointing? We'll start with you, Sho.
I personally don't, man. Looking at that guy in college, man, he was outstanding. I think it's just like always the coaching. I think it's just the coaching staff calling the certain plays, the offensive line being beat up, and the guy just making his adjustments to the NFL. I'm thinking maybe Sunday's game or maybe even week 5, he'll have a breakout game. It's coming. It's just a matter of time. I have no doubt in my mind that he will be one of the guys we're talking about. Week 16 is probably offensive rookie of the year. He's coming. No question.
Here's what I would say, just the numbers. And Jeremy, you alluded to this. So his rush attempts, he has 21 rush attempts. That's 47th in the NFL. That's piss poor to use your phrase. 112 yards. That's tied for 37th. But his average yards per run is 5.3. That's top 10 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing a lot with the opportunities that he does get. I'm still very much a Michael Carter guy, but I recognize I can see the talent in Brees Hall when he turns the corner. When the defense does not set the edge, you really feel like he could go down the field quite some ways. I think maybe some people soured on him early because he had the one fumble in the first game.
Rookie.
Exactly, it's a rookie. It was one fumble. This wasn't Ty Conklin, okay,
right.
who's making a pattern out of it. I think he gets a bonus every time he fumbles, but maybe that's the way this contract was drawn up. I don't know. So, so I feel fine about Hall. My opinion hasn't changed on him too much one way or another. I think maybe it was a little premature during the offseason for a lot of Jets fans to be anointing him offensive rookie of the year. I felt I felt it was possible, but I felt maybe the expectations were a little higher than they should have been for Hall. But I definitely see the talent. Let's just see how much of a chance he gets to display it.
So guys, by the way, I want to point this out to the people sitting there saying Tomlin's not good. I started this conversation by saying I think that they have a coaching advantage and Tomlin is better than Saleh. So for any of you that are sitting there saying Tomlin's not good because he had a good quarterback, even ignoring the years that he didn't have Ben and he had trash at quarterback, let me make this final point. Saleh is 5-15. Saleh is 5-15. And you're sitting here arguing the guy who hasn't had a losing season in 15 years is not better than him? Like, are we smoking crack tonight? Is that what's happening in the chat? Did somebody did Green Bean's old bag that he threw away when he went through somehow get lost in the chat of these people? Like, what are you smoking? He's 5-15. I mean,
whatever you are smoking, stop? Give some to me on Sunday. That's the way we have to do these games sometimes.
Oh my God.
Tomlin is better than Saleh. You might not think he's the greatest in history. Fine, I could live with that. You can make all the excuses. But like Snowball said, there's not a snowball chance in hell I would trade Saleh for Tomlin right now. Okay? I mean, I wouldn't trade Saleh for Tomlin right now. Let's get real, people. Let's not be so far out there that we're like ridiculous at this point. Okay?
Jerry, thanks for coming in with the hot take on that one.
It's like absolutely insane to me that we're having this discussion. Like, how can you argue that the Pittsburgh Steelers, this organization that hasn't had a losing season, that has all these Super Bowls, that's everything we dream we could be, doesn't have a coaching advantage over us right now when our head coach is 5-15 and we have the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL for the past 20 games. Can we please, like I said in the beginning, and like Frankie always says, can we gripe intelligently and stop this nonsense? If you want to talk about Tomlin not being the best coach or you think I'm overestimating him, fine. That could be an intelligent conversation. You can make your points. But let's not sit here and pretend that my statement that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a coaching advantage over the New York Jets isn't the most obvious take in the world. Should I say it in my introductory way? It's the most obvious take
In the world! Next week on Wacky Wednesday, Mike Tomlin, Jeremy and I are going to try to become his agents.
Hey, did you guys see the take that the interview that Tomlinson did about our safeties, Whitehead and Joyner?
Oh, I can't wait. What happened?
Oh my God, he was saying, yeah, they have good safeties. They really popped out on the tape, and I'm like, wait, what? What did you?
Well, they popped out all right. I could
exactly.
I can see how he would say that. Okay, I'm with that. I'm with that. Go
right.
ahead. Yeah.
I'm like, he's literally bashing us very intelligently, like, you know what I mean? He was very professional with it, and I was like,
they really
this
stand
guy's
out.
crafty.
We're gonna be watching for them wherever they are on the field. We're gonna be watching.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's coming. He's attacking.
Andy Reid's an amazing coach too. I don't know if he did what Tomlin did, right? But I don't think you need to have 15 winning seasons in a row to be amazing. Andy Reid's amazing. He went.
Indeed.
Reid won his Super Bowl late. Tomlin won his pretty much immediately.
Right.
That's
right.
Look, I mean, Andy Reid came. It's like Marty Schottenheimer was it. Marty Schottenheimer was a guy like that.
Yeah.
Everywhere he went, he won. If he gave him the time, he won. Washington Redskins, now Washington Commanders, biggest mistake they ever made in their history was firing Marty. They didn't give him enough time. He was turning the team around. They let him go, and then Washington is Washington. And Marty Schottenheimer went to San Diego and rocked it. Then they got mad that he lost to New England in the playoffs, gave up on him, brought in Norv Turner, and that was the end of the Chargers. And that whole Super Bowl run and that whole team. So it's like, don't underestimate the coach and don't lose your mind when it comes to making sane decisions when it comes to coaches. Because like we've seen it. It's not just the people in this chat. It's like I've seen GMs and organizations and owners fire amazing coaches. Look at Dallas. Because of his ego, he let Johnson go. That was nuts. They haven't won a Super Bowl since, except for the 1 year Schwartz took Johnson's team and basically the same coaching staff and just, held it together for 1 year.
Guys, quick question. If the Jets go under 500 this year, do you guys give Saleh another chance?
Are you okay? I was going to say, so are you talking about at the end of the season if they're under 500? Like 8-9? Mm-hmm. If they're 8-9, I have no problem as long as there is not some sort of issue with stories about the locker room coming completely splintered, coming apart. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like that's going to happen because I don't think you have quote unquote disruptive guys on the team. I think they're very conscious of not bringing in those types of players.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't worry me too much. But if you have, I'd say 4 or 5 wins again, they're going to have to change something very, very drastically. I mean, you could bring Saleh back for 1 more year after that, but it's like you've better figure it out this year But I would say if you have this again, then you have to make a change someplace. Because remember, we didn't change one coach from last season. Not one.
Right.
So if that means Jeff Ulbrich goes, that means Jeff Ulbrich goes. So that's just he might have to be the sacrificial lamb if this, I believe, very underachieving defense doesn't turn it around.
Okay. What about you, Jeremy? Under 500.
If he's 8-9, don't get me wrong, I'll be angry along the way because that's who I am. Right? I'll be angry about I'll be angry about the losses and everything. But I said it from the beginning. 8-9 is a good. I know people are going to have really hard time swallowing what I'm about to say, but 8-9 is good for me. Like it's a good season.
I agree. I
2 to
agree.
4 to 8 is I could live with 2 wins to 4
Yeah,
wins to 8
I can live with
wins.
that.
I can live with that.
Yeah. Now,
Right.
I will say, no matter what, 8 and 9 Salah stays, and I'm actually back and healed as a believer in him, because I think taking over a 2-14 team that was absolutely had stripped of its roster and was absolute trash, and then rebuilt with all these young players and new free agents. If you could bring that team to 4-13 with rookies and still a lot of holes, then the next year fill most of the holes, and then still babies though, still new guys, and go 8 and 9, I'm going to start to believe that next year is going to be very special and we're going to be a playoff contender.
I agree.
Now, at the same time, it's very important to me. There's different ways to go 8 and 9. To me, the other piece of that is the 8 and 9 has to come with Zach did really well and took the next step. It's a very important part of that formula, right? That it's not 8 and 9 and we would have done much better, but Zach stinks. It has to be 8 and 9 because Zach took the next step, and Zach is a huge part of why we jumped to 8 wins.
And I got to see more from the defense. I'm sorry, if this team is predicated on the defensive line, if 20% of the players they kept are defensive linemen and they're underachieving this much for 17 games, you have to overhaul the whole defensive system. You have to change something, and you have to change it big. I'm not saying go to a 3-4, but the way that you coach, the way you utilize playing time, who you're giving it to, whether it's looks, stunts, whether it's zoned, alt man zone, whatever it is. I mean, at what point is it going to be where we say, you know what, we've been the worst ranked defense in the league for 20 games. Something is not working. At what point are they going to have to make some serious changes? At Buffalo and the Vado. In fact, I would go to Fogo de Chao if I had one right nearby me, just for some just for Eduardo Escobar. But that's another story. I can say that because the nearest one to me is like in freaking DC, from where I live. I don't quite have that opportunity. But one thing I did want to mention real quick about Pittsburgh, I thought this was interesting. Third downs. I thought this was really, really interesting. So the Steelers converted 1 of 9 third downs against Cleveland. Through 3 weeks, their offense has converted only a third of their third down attempts, 24th in the league. On Thursday, they had 4 straight 3-and-outs. Steelers are only averaging 24 minutes of possession per game. This team does not hold on to the ball. This is a chance where the Jets have to control the game, control the ball. And I'll give you one more thing, a quote from Chase Claypool, their wide receiver. He was asked about why is the Pittsburgh offense struggling so much and why is it not coming together. This is his quote, and I'm including everything in this quote. We've got playmakers, but I don't know if we have an identity. I think we're still trying to figure that out. This is an offense trying to find its way. We thought that the Jets could lay into that Cincinnati offense because they had a struggling offensive line. But at the end of the day, Cincinnati knew where their bread was buttered. They knew what made them good, and they figured it out against us. This is an offense. This coaching staff, I'll give you a criticism on Mike Tomlin. He thinks Mitch Trubisky is still the best chance for Pittsburgh to win this game. That gives me some hope right there. So this is an offense that mentally, they don't really know where they are or how they're going to win. Najee Harris hasn't been too good this year. They didn't target Pat Freiermuth till the fourth quarter against Cleveland. What were they thinking about as far as that goes? Hit them early and keep the doubt in their mind. I said the same thing before the Cincy game, but Pittsburgh doesn't know their identity, and the Jets have to recognize that and figure out how to keep their lives miserable to the point that during halftime when they're playing Renegade and "Oh, Father, I can hear," or whatever the hell they play, make them scream for Kenny Pickett to come in the game. That's the best case scenario for the Jets. Just want to throw all that out there.
Yeah.
I love it.
It would really be beneficial for us to, one of the things that would be great about winning 7 or 8 games or 8 games, particularly, is I don't want to start over with coach. I don't want to bring in a new coaching staff and start a new system and do that. And people were asking if I think that JD's job is tied to it. And I say no way. Because if Salah did win 5 games and they were to fire him, I don't think JD go. Everyone acts like it's automatic that the general manager goes, and it's just not true. you got to look at these drafts. I mean, for people who have been a Jets fan, I don't understand it. Do you remember the drafts we used to have? Like, does anybody remember?
I had to go to
draft?
therapy to forget them. Are you kidding me?
Right.
How can anybody, like, if you're a Jets fan and you're really paying attention, how could you possibly want to lose Joe Douglas? Do you want to risk going back to the drafts we used to have?
Darren Lee, D.
Oh
Milliner,
God.
Kyle Wilson,
right?
Dukas, Christian
my
Hackenberg.
Hackenberg, right?
People, please. People, please. This is not about JD. Nobody's perfect. He's not going to hit on all his things. There might be questions on some of his decisions. Fine. Look what we've had. You guys are acting like we've all been New England fans and switched over to the Jets and said this is unacceptable. Come on. We've sucked so bad for so long. We have been such a ridiculous, horrendous organization. How could you sit there and say that you'd want to fire JD? I don't understand it.
Right.
Red Ass Jeremy is the funniest Jeremy.
The only good thing we've had in the last 2 years were the drafts. That's the
Absolutely.
only, right? Have we been happier
Absolutely.
at any point than the last 2 drafts as Jet fans?
No, not since
Not
the beginning of the first half of the Rex run. No doubt about it.
If you said that, what's the one thing you know you have? The one thing that's not a question mark, I would say a GM.
Right.
If he messed up the coach thing with the coach hiring, that's okay. It's not easy to find a great coach. Most coaches get fired and don't make it. It's okay for him to miss on coach. It really is. There's no crystal ball that anybody has.
Are you guys done with Mekhi Becton, or do you still believe?
I'm not done with Mekhi Becton, but he has to earn his spot back on the field. My ideal scenario next year is, I think Dwayne Brown will still try to be here next year. Have Brown and Becton compete for the left tackle job. I feel confident putting Max Mitchell at right tackle. And
Absolutely.
I would actually let Fant go at this point. I'm getting worried about him, especially in terms of injuries. I don't believe he was ever healthy at all during this season. So I have no problem admitting that, but I'm not comfortable investing that much money in George Fant. So for me, yeah, I would have Becton and Brown compete. And if you want to draft a tackle, a left tackle project, and maybe the 3rd round somewhere in there, I'm all in favor of it. But
Absolutely.
I don't understand what you have to gain by just cutting him after the season. But you do have to make a decision on that contract coming up pretty soon. So, yeah. And here's my thing. If some people will talk about a trade. I don't know who's going to take a chance on him when his trade value is probably at the lowest that it could be right now. I don't feel like trading him makes sense. I feel like you have to take the chance for one more season, but you can't guarantee him a starting job. You cannot do that.
So Adam, I just want you to know, or Watu-K99, sorry, Melvin lives in Norfolk, Virginia, by the beach. Virginia Beach or something. And we were telling him about the Virginia Jets fan club. Do you? I think somebody sent them the information about the bar. Do you want to just name the bar again that you guys watched the game at?
Yeah, so we watched the games at AJ Gators. There's a couple locations in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, but we meet at the one on Shore Drive, the north part of Norfolk, basically right near the right off the water, practically. So, and this Sunday we're doing a premium raffle. We got a lot. I got a ton of really cool Jets t-shirts that I got. Some I even got from the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer. And I was able to buy a couple of those. I found some really nice dry fit ones with the new logo because, it's pretty tough to get Jets gear with the new logo on it. Most of what you'll see is like the one that's hanging behind show right now with the NY logo, right? So, but I was able to find some really cool gear. We've had in the past, some of our premium items have included grill sets and pint glasses, all kinds of really cool stuff. We only do 3 or 4 of those a year. So, AJ Gators on Shore Drive. It's 9575 Shore Drive is the address. So, yeah, come on out, Melvin. We'd love to see you.
Yeah. So, and that would be cool, man. Get you a new member. He didn't know. I'm sure it's exciting for him to be able to watch the game with fans. And isn't Green Bean coming out with you this week, coming this Sunday? Or
No, not this Sunday. Green Bean. Right now, the plan is Halloween weekend. Green Bean would be coming down. It's going to be interesting. So you're going to have Green Bean will be there. My dad's coming down from New Jersey. And then it's going to be our Halloween contest where we have a dress up contest and the winner gets like a special. I actually think I know the prize. I think it's going to be, I got this set of 4 Jets whiskey glasses, like in a whole case, like a really nice case. I think that's going to be the special giveaway for whoever wins the dress up contest. So.
I might come dressed up as Adam Gase.
Where are you gonna buy the eyes? Okay, so Tammy McDaniel chimes in and says the Jets need to go with 2 tight end sets and leave a fullback in the backfield for extra protection. Well, look, me and Green Bean were saying it during the game, and we were all screaming it afterwards, especially after the strip sack. How in the world do you leave Connor McDermott alone against Cincinnati? Against the premier edge rusher. You first of all, you stick a tight end next to him and you go with a limited playbook of just plays that have a tight end next to him and you just deal with it because that's a better scenario. Plus, especially with Zach, you don't want him getting hurt. So you just have to do it. Now, if you're not going to do that, at the very least, you have to have a running back chip, right? That running back has to come out and chip that edge and get him a little off balance and help McDermott out so we get some amount of time. So it's an absolutely great point, and it doesn't. And that's another thing that scares me. Some of the decisions, the personnel decisions, and the way we call our plays. How do you think, or how do you believe that McDermott could be left alone against what is his name, Hendrickson?
Yeah.
How do you leave McDermott on Hendrickson alone, and then Joe Flacco not even looking as if he doesn't know it's going to come? Like, how are you? Like, he's just sitting there acting like, oh, ouch! I didn't know that guy was going to come in so fast. Did you know who was blocking him? Every fan knew that we were in trouble, right? Nobody thought, oh, McDermott will be fine, and yet we did nothing to adjust and prepare for that. We had just snapped the ball and acted as if McDermott was going to be fine.
Like he was Walter Jones in his prime, like he was Bruce Matthews, like he was Orlando Pace. Oh my gosh!
So it's absolutely shocking to me. It's absolutely shocking to me.
He makes me miss Chuma Edoga. He really does. I know that's saying
what's crazy. I actually thought about that. I was like, shouldn't we have kept Chuma instead of McDermott? I would have personally.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess it is what it is at this point.
What happens if Mitch were to light up our defense? I throw up. Literally.
I'd start drinking. Yeah.
I would literally throw
a lot of drinking. Yeah. Put it this way, I'll be recording quickly and it would not be my happiest video that I would have ever recorded. I will say this, Pittsburgh does have some very good receivers, but they're not as good as Cincinnati's. I trust the Jets cornerbacks to cover effectively. But this is not just a talent issue. This is a system issue. This is a communication issue. We can't afford to have these slip-ups and let Deontay Johnson or George Pickens or Pat Freiermuth run open in the middle of the field. If we coach these guys right, we can do a whole heck of a lot better. And also, if the pass rush gets better, that's going to make the secondary, and by the way, that includes the safeties that we all love to hate on so much. If the pass rush gets there, the secondary will be there to reap the benefits, because then you're talking about fumbles. You're talking about a chance for interceptions. It all works together. A lot of the problems of the secondary are because the defensive line is not getting to the quarterback enough. So that's one thing we need to see. And I made a video about this, and Jeremy, you saw it. You told me. I screamed about this. Shorten the rotation up. Play Bryce Huff. Move John Franklin Myers inside. Bam Knight is still on the practice squad. We haven't let him go yet, thank God, because I didn't want to lose him either. I would trust Bam Knight to play safety right now, I think. I trust him in pass protection. Oh, my gosh. Yes. Do you like that segue?
We let go of Bam Knight, mistake or not. I think
he on the practice squad still, unless there's some news?
I thought he was. Today? They may have had to let him go when they did some other move. I'm not sure.
I have not seen that.
But I thought he was on the practice squad.
I'll check real quick.
The fact I am absolutely 100% angry and disgruntled that Bam Knight or Tavon Coleman, I don't care, is not on our roster over Ty Johnson. I think it's an
Oh my
absolute
God, yes.
travesty.
He's on the practice
Yes.
squad. Bam is
okay,
ours.
good. So Bam Knight is on the practice squad. They should activate him. They should put Ty Johnson on the practice squad or cut him. It's an absolute travesty, and it's another example of stubbornness. It's another example of a coaching staff that just seems incapable of admitting they are wrong. And I'm not just saying it from because Ty Johnson sucks. I'm saying it because our kickoff returning has been bloody awful, and one of the best things Bam Knight has to offer is he's a very explosive kickoff returner. So not only would we be getting who I think is the better running back or such a higher ceiling than Ty Johnson, but we'd be getting a kickoff returner, and we're not doing good in that part of our game. So, Berrios is really good at punt returns. It's not going well on kickoff returns.
It is not.
So my answer is mistake. Definite mistake. Look at this. You bring show on. I just want to say this because typically you get, if you have 50 people, 40 people in the chat, you get 39 guys and a female. And every once in a while, another female pops in and one leaves and everything like that.
Don't start, Jim. Do not start.
Show comes into the
Jeremy,
chat.
please start.
Show comes onto the channel. And suddenly, it's like half the chat is women. So I don't know, man. It's
Maybe
not
that's
me.
Jeremy.
I think that's
Jeremy,
because I haven't been chatting as much in. I'm guessing J. Cole left. That's
Oh my God, man! I love you guys, man.
Hey, Iowa
Right,
brings the
doesn't
sex
watch the
box.
show,
Show
does it?
brings the ladies.
Guys, I'm
Joe,
sure
you
my
can come
wife,
back every week if you want. I'll give you.
ladies, and guys, my wife is in the chat. I'm sure of that. So I'm a happily married man. Don't get me in trouble, Jeremy.
Really?
That's so funny.
Baby's
It's so funny.
Jeremy's fault.
It's so funny because somebody I work with, this guy George, his wife is the business manager of our school. She works in the front, and he works with me in behavior support. And he has diabetes, so he's not allowed to eat whatever he wants. But he has insulin. He's type 1, so he can as long as he takes the insulin. But whatever, he gets in trouble sometimes with his wife. So one time we had burritos for lunch at our school, and they're really good, and everybody runs it. Even the whole staff and the kids, everybody loves the burritos. So I had a few in the support center for kids who were eating lunch there. So I had like a pile of them that we kind of set for those kids. And George had on his desk a burrito that he wanted to eat. Like he was ready, to eat. And I put like 3 extra burritos on his desk and took a picture and sent it to his wife and said,
God,
man, he has an appetite. And the next day he came to me and he goes, "You're getting me killed, man." So much trouble. What are you doing to me, man?
Oh my God. Well, there she is. There's my beautiful wife.
All right.
I told she was in the chat, guys. Do not get me killed. Babe, that's all Jeremy.
And where is she from?
She's from here. She's from California as well. But she's originally from here. Yeah. So I met her. We dated long distance, and eventually she won my heart over. And I've been here ever since.
What part of California?
We're in Southern California. We're like an hour outside of LA.
South of LA or a little bit east?
East.
Okay. It's so funny. It's so funny because I was joking around. I said, but I have that sense. I knew. I said, of course you have a beautiful wife. I knew it right away. I said, this guy is a cool cat, listening to his jazz, and now I'm going to get him in trouble again. So how could the girls not fall over?
I will say, those of us who are like married, we tend to do, not we when I'm referring to myself, but those who are married, they tend to do pretty well, those Jets content creators, in terms of how they marry. They marry well, I must say.
Thank you.
That's so funny.
And there's just another example.
Look at this. Look at this. Jeremy Cravat Jr. is asking. That's J. Cole, by the way.
Laura, you cannot. Laura, I promise you have
do
no
not
shot.
do it.
I have a lot
Do
of.
not
I'm sure
do it.
you're a wonderful lady, but I'm telling you, frick, the founder of eHarmony can't pull that shit off.
Oh my God.
Oh my God,
That's
guys.
my one curse for the night.
Oh my God, man. But yeah, guys, she's a Seahawks fan now, so you can't clown her about that. I'm just kidding, babe. But she really is. She really is a Seahawks fan. She started off as a Jets fan, like I mentioned earlier. But
will you be going to the game in Seattle together?
Yes, we have plans to go.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna take a road
do a
trip.
little video on it. Let's.
Oh,
see
we
your
absolutely
travels.
are.
Yeah,
We absolutely are. Yeah, so we're taking the entire and the kids, and yeah, we've been planning since we saw the schedule. She was like, look who the Jets play against. I was like, ooh, nice. So yeah, I have my green on, and hopefully we come in there and we dominate, man. Like that's the plan for me anyway.
If Geno Smith beats us, I mean, oh my God.
Oh my God, what a slap in the face, right?
That would be worse than Trubisky. I mean, I can't think of anything more insulting than Geno Smith beating us.
Look at Tigo picking a fight with your wife.
Season. Oh my
God. By the way, Tigo picking a fight with your wife. He's like bringing up Jamal Adams. Tigo, knock it off, man. Knock it off. Come on, man.
Tigo, you thought you were dealing with a hurricane before. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, I have a feeling this lady will knock you out, kid.
Yeah, I'm getting that sense.
I call her the boss, guys, and she's the boss for a reason.
I had a friend in man, what is it? Near San Dimas in California. Like they like I don't know. I'm thinking the name of the town that they were in specifically, but they were east, like about an hour east of L.A. Orange County-ish. Like they were in part, and I'm forgetting the name of the town that they were from, or the little area they were from. But it was nice. It was like a farmer's market. Like I visited them, and it was a nice little. And I'm just forgetting what it's called. But that's kind of cool that you're down there. Man, we missed our opportunity. My brother, up for 20 years lived in San Diego, and I was always in Southern California. We could have hung out.
No way.
But he just moved to Portland. I'm actually going there on Saturday. But I used to always drive down from Sacramento to that area, so we would have chilled. But if you ever come to San Francisco, though, or like to visit Napa Valley, any Northern California vacations, you're going to have to stop in Sacramento, and we're all going to have to go to, I told you, Urban Roots to get that barbecue.
Right. I actually want to see Alcatraz, man. I've been fascinated as a kid by Alcatraz, and I've mentioned it to my wife. So we might visit there before we go to the Seattle and Jets game. And if I do, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know, because we'll drive up. We're only an hour and a half. We'll drive into San Francisco, and my wife wants to see Alcatraz too. So
nice. So maybe we can schedule something.
Yeah, she hasn't been. So
doing a JETS Jets chant from Alcatraz. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, gonna like echo across the bay.
Right.
Yeah, being a Jet fan kind of feels like being stuck in Alcatraz sometimes.
It does. Connection there, yeah.
Just make sure that if you do Alcatraz and we're not there, just make sure you buy the tickets that include the headphones. It's an important part of the tour, because it tells you as you're walking through, it guides you, it shows you where Al Capone was and all that good stuff.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Like it's worth the extra money for the headphones,
right?
So because there's it's like having a guide, and it walks you through. It says, "Oh, now you're entering this area. This is where Al Capone did laundry," so it's very heavily centered on Al Capone. That's like because Alcatraz, not that it wasn't famous anyway, but the whole Al Capone going there was like a really big deal.
I'm a history guy, man. So anything like with history, man, I love it. I absolutely love it.
And where I'm in Virginia, I'm surrounded by history. I mean, I'm like 15 minutes away from where the American Revolutionary War ended. So it's like I've got all right here. Oh, by the way, your wife's talking a little smack for that.
Oh, she's in the.
Oh yeah, she's getting it on.
Oh my God! Don't start, babe.
Okay, guys. So sorry to do this abruptly, but I'm gonna have to end the show. We're gonna say our goodbyes. I'll give you guys a chance to wrap up. I want to let everybody know I have another show starting in 5 minutes. It's not a chat interactive show. It's for my Stadium Rant. It's my podcast for jetsjoint.com. I'm having a Pittsburgh Steeler guy come in, so I am gonna do it live here on this channel. But I'm not going to be interacting with the chat. So everybody out there, if you come in, that's why I'm not responding to the chat, because we're using the audio for a podcast. But if you want to join us, I have a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. We're going to talk about the game and everything. So join us for that. With that being said, tell them where to find you. Tell them what you got coming. Take a minute. Just drum up some business. Let's get people over and get people subbed to your channel.
Okay. Well, you can also find me on Twitter at the Jet Show, and I'm also on, of course, YouTube as well. The same name, the Jet Show, and I have a new video that's about to come out Saturday. Um, and after that, I'll probably come back on Monday. Of course, I don't do Sundays. I'm drowning in jet sorrow, but yeah, so I'm sure I'll be back Monday. So yeah, I'll have another video coming out Saturday. So if you guys want to come on over, check me out, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. Pun intended.
Do you always start with "It's showtime"?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I didn't know that. I just throwing it out.
I do. I actually do. Yes. Beetlejuice, actually.
Of course.
All right, Y2K.
Okay. By the way, show, I just gave you a subscribe, so I
Thank
just
you,
went
my
ahead
man.
and did it. You're welcome.
Thank you, my
So
man.
you can catch me at NY Sports Wicker Media on YouTube. I post a lot of Mets, Jets, Rangers. I did a Rangers video 2 days ago that's getting a lot of reactions, so that's going pretty well. And what I'm going to be doing Thursday, Thursday afternoon, I'm going to post my confidence picks. I'm going to attempt to pick the winner of each game, and I'll rate how confident I am in each and every game. I'll be doing my 5 bold predictions for the Jets-Steelers game. And then Sunday night, the 3 plays from the Jets-Steelers game you might not recall that affected the outcome of the game. So that's going to be sort of like my new schedule. Want to build some consistency with the days when I post certain segments. And man, I'm having a great time doing these videos, and I appreciate everybody who's taken the time to watch, subscribe, and share with a friend. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep on doing it.
And Melvin, these links are in the chat. Grandizer is putting them up for you. You can hit the links and subscribe that way really easily. Eventually, I'll update my bio and I'll get the links of all these guys in there as well and get them in the descriptions. But right now, I have a very busy job, a very busy life, and I honestly am just too lazy and don't have the time.
Show off, no pun intended. Show off, literally.
But guys, I'll see anybody who wants to join and watch the show. I'll be back in 4 minutes. Not this link though, so just go back to my channel and find the link. Steelers Jets preview with a Steelers insider coming up next. Thanks for coming, show. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, guys.
You're fantastic. We'll definitely have you back.
Thank you, guys.
Anytime you need anything, let me know. Watson K, thank you for being my co-host all this time, brother, and staying with me week after week.
My pleasure, buddy. Love doing it. And hopefully we're going to be doing this Wednesday coming off of a win. Let's go. Go Jets.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Go Jets.
Go Jets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, go. Amazing. That's my boy. That's my boy.
He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds, too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown.
This is a touchdown all the way.